Welcome to your free English lesson. This series will focus on sentences. This lesson will cover complex sentences. It is important to write when you are asked to. It helps you to learn. You can use a whiteboard, but ideally a notebook would be best. That way, you can keep a record of your learning. There are 5 intended learning outcomes to achieve by the end of the lesson. 1. We are learning to define complex sentences. 2. We are learning to identify independent clauses. 3. We are learning to identify dependent clauses. 4. We are learning to use subordinating conjunctions correctly to form adverbial clauses. 5. We are learning to write complex sentences using statements, questions, imperatives, and exclamations. A complex sentence is a sentence that has one independent clause and at least one dependent subordinate clause. The independent clause can stand alone as a complete sentence. The dependent clause cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. Dependent clauses can be introduced by a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun, and they can also function as noun clauses. A complex sentence has only one independent clause. Any other clauses are dependent. This means only one part can stand alone. The other part depends on it. Dependent clauses are commonly categorized as adverbial clauses. They are introduced by subordinating conjunctions, such as because, although, if. Adjective, relative clauses. They are introduced by relative pronouns, such as who, which, that. And noun clauses. They are often introduced by that, whether, if, or WH words. This lesson will focus on adverbial dependent clauses introduced by subordinating conjunctions. Here is an example. Independent clause. I stayed inside. This is a complete sentence. It can stand alone. Dependent clause. Because it was raining. This is an incomplete sentence. It cannot stand alone. It leaves us waiting for more. Now, let's put these parts together to form one complete sentence. I stayed inside because it was raining. Let's look at the word because. It is a subordinating conjunction. Without the word because, the clause it was raining is independent. It can stand alone. The word because turns the independent clause it was raining into a dependent clause because it was raining, an idea that is incomplete on its own. A subordinating conjunction is a word that joins a dependent subordinate clause to an independent clause, shows a relationship such as time, reason, condition, contrast, or purpose, and makes one clause dependent, meaning it cannot stand alone. A complex sentence formed with a subordinating conjunction has one independent clause and one dependent clause introduced by a subordinating conjunction. There are 2 basic complex sentence structures: independent clause plus subordinating conjunction plus dependent clause. Subordinating conjunction plus dependent clause plus independent clause. Here is an example. Independent clause, first. Independent clause, the game was postponed. Subordinating conjunction, because. Dependent clause, the field was flooded. The game was postponed because the field was flooded. Notice, a comma is not needed when the dependent clause follows the independent clause. Here is an example. Dependent clause, first. Subordinating conjunction, because. Dependent clause, the field was flooded. Independent clause, the game was postponed. Because the field was flooded, the game was postponed. Notice a comma is needed when the independent clause follows the dependent clause. Here are some frequently used subordinating conjunctions grouped by their time meaning. When, while, before, after, since, until. Here are some frequently used subordinating conjunctions grouped by their reason and cause meaning. Because, since, as. Here are some frequently used subordinating conjunctions grouped by their condition meaning. If, unless, provided that. Here are some frequently used subordinating conjunctions grouped by their contrast meaning. Although, though, whereas, even though. Here are some frequently used subordinating conjunctions grouped by their purpose meaning. So that, in order that. A declarative sentence makes a statement or gives information. Its function is to state facts, opinions, and descriptions. The punctuation at the end of a declarative sentence is a full stop. Form. The word order is usually subject plus verb plus object, adverbial, or complement. Here is an example of a statement as a complex sentence. Independent clause first. Independent clause, she went to bed, plus subordinating conjunction, because, plus dependent clause, she was tired. She went to bed because she was tired. Dependent clause first. Subordinating conjunction, because, plus dependent clause, she was tired, plus independent clause, she went to bed. Because she was tired, she went to bed. An interrogative asks a question. Its function is to request information or confirmation. The punctuation used at the end of an interrogative is a question mark. Intonation. There is a rising tone at the end of the interrogative for yes and no questions. For WH questions, there is a variable tone. Here is an example of a question as a complex sentence. Independent clause first. Independent clause, will you call me? Plus subordinating conjunction, when, plus dependent clause, you finish your homework. Will you call me when you finish your homework? Dependent clause first, subordinating conjunction, when plus dependent clause, you finish your homework, plus independent clause, will you call me? When you finish your homework, will you call me? An imperative gives a command, request, instruction, or invitation. Its function is to ask someone to do or not do something. The punctuation at the end of an imperative is a full stop, but it can take an exclamation mark for force. Form: the word order is varied and requires an implied subject. Here is an example of an imperative as a complex sentence. Independent clause first. Independent clause, lock the door, plus subordinating conjunction, before, plus dependent clause, you leave the house. Lock the door before you leave the house. Dependent clause first, subordinating conjunction, before, plus dependent clause, you leave the house, plus independent clause, lock the door. Before you leave the house, lock the door. An exclamatory expresses a strong feeling or emotion. Its function is to show surprise, excitement, joy, anger, and admiration. The punctuation at the end of an exclamation is an exclamation mark. The form: the word order is usually subject plus verb plus object, adverbial, or complement. Here is an example of an exclamation as a complex sentence. Independent clause first. Independent clause, I was shocked, plus subordinating conjunction, when, plus dependent clause, I heard the news. I was shocked when I heard the news. Dependent clause first. Subordinating conjunction, when, plus dependent clause, I heard the news, plus independent clause, I was shocked. When I heard the news, I was shocked. A subordinating conjunction connects a dependent clause to an independent clause. It shows the relationship between two ideas. Choosing the correct subordinating conjunction is crucial because it determines the meaning of a sentence. Using the wrong conjunction can confuse the meaning of your sentence. In this example, although it was raining, I stayed home. Although suggests contrast, but staying home is expected. It doesn't make sense. In this example, because it was raining, I stayed home. Because clearly shows the reason, which matches the intended meaning. Use this reference when building complex sentences using subordinating conjunctions. The subordinating conjunctions when, while, before, after, since, until show a time sequence relationship. They show when something happens in relation to something else. The subordinating conjunctions because, since, as show a reason-cause relationship. They explain why something happens. The subordinating conjunctions if, unless, provided that show a condition relationship. They show a condition must be met for the main action to happen. The subordinating conjunctions although, though, whereas, even though show a contrast opposite ideas relationship. They show contrast or unexpected results. The subordinating conjunctions so that in order that. Show a purpose-intention relationship. They show the goal or reason for doing something. The subordinating conjunctions than, as, show a comparison relationship. They show a comparison between two things. The subordinating conjunctions where, wherever, show a place-location relationship. They indicate location. The subordinating conjunctions once, until, as long as, show a time-condition relationship. They show time limits or conditions. Read the clauses. Ask yourself, what is the relationship between the two clauses? Then choose a subordinating conjunction that matches to create a complex sentence. Independent clause first. He didn't go to the party. He was feeling unwell. Dependent clause first. He was feeling unwell. He didn't go to the party. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. He didn't go to the party because he was feeling unwell. Dependent clause first. Because he was feeling unwell, he didn't go to the party. Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. Will they cancel the trip? It continues to rain. Dependent clause first. It continues to rain. Will they cancel the trip? Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. Will they cancel the trip if it continues to rain? Dependent clause first. If it continues to rain, will they cancel the trip? Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. Speak quietly. The baby is sleeping. Dependent clause first. The baby is sleeping. Speak quietly. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. Speak quietly because the baby is sleeping. Dependent clause first. Because the baby is sleeping, speak quietly. Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. I felt relieved. I saw the results. Dependent clause first. I saw the results. I felt relieved. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. I felt relieved when I saw the results. Dependent clause first. When I saw the results, I felt relieved. Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. We continued working. We were tired. Dependent clause first. We were tired. We continued working. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. We continued working, although we were tired. Dependent clause first. Although we were tired, we continued working. Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. Will you call me? You arrive safely. Dependent clause first. You arrive safely. Will you call me? Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. Will you call me once you arrive safely? Dependent clause first. Once you arrive safely, will you call me? Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. Stay here. I come back. Dependent clause first. I come back. Stay here. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. Stay here until I come back. Dependent clause first. Until I come back. Stay here. Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. The tent collapsed. The wind was gentle. Dependent clause first. The wind was gentle. The tent collapsed. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. The tent collapsed even though the wind was gentle. Dependent clause first. Even though the wind was gentle, the tent collapsed. Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. They stayed behind. Everyone else had gone home. Dependent clause first. Everyone else had gone home. They stayed behind. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. They stayed behind while everyone else had gone home. Dependent clause first. While everyone else had gone home, they stayed behind. Write these complex sentences. Independent clause first. Did they panic? They heard the announcement. Dependent clause first. They heard the announcement. Did they panic? Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Independent clause first. Did they panic after they heard the announcement? Dependent clause first. After they heard the announcement, did they panic? Here is an extender for anybody who would like a challenge. Write 2 complex sentences for each question. By choosing the correct subordinating conjunction, use the clues in the brackets to help. 1. The lesson ended. The students packed their bags. Time relationship. 2. We cancelled the trip. The weather was dangerous. Reason relationship. 3. It was raining heavily. They went for a walk. Contrast relationship. 4. You hurry. You will miss the bus. Condition relationship. 5. She arrives late. Will she miss the meeting? Condition relationship. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. 1. Independent clause first. The students packed their bags after the lesson ended. Dependent clause first. After the lesson ended, the students packed their bags. 2. Independent clause first. We cancelled the trip since the weather was dangerous. Dependent clause first. Since the weather was dangerous, we cancelled the trip. 3. Independent clause first. They went for a walk, even though it was raining heavily. Dependent clause first. Even though it was raining heavily, they went for a walk. 4. Independent clause first. You will miss the bus unless you hurry. Dependent clause first. Unless you hurry, you will miss the bus. 5. Independent clause first. Will she miss the meeting if she arrives late? Dependent clause first. If she arrives late, will she miss the meeting? Thank you for watching this video. Watch it as many times as you need to master the intended learning outcomes. I hope that the content helped you to learn more about complex sentences. Please like and subscribe for more lessons. There is a lot to learn, so don't give up. Keep believing in yourself, and you will learn. See you next time. Bye.